Hi guys, Marshall here. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. I hope it was a safe one. I hope that you felt at least safe and comfortable with where you were at, because I know the holidays can be really, really difficult. And I don't speak to that lightly. I mean, I've 8 years ago, I was living on the street because my parents at this time, they kicked me out. And then thank God my sister was available and able to take me in for a period of time so I could get back on my feet. So, yeah, codependency is a fun one. And those narcissistic individuals, they like to get out there. And I want to make a note about that. Narcissistic people, not just narcissists. What we want to focus on, if we're going to deal with healthy and unhealthy things, is patterns of behavior. That's really what matters. One of the things that we picked up in our survival from the narcissistic abuse and the codependent analysis, if we could figure it out, then we can solve the problem. That's why our brains are often very obsessed with trying to understand the narcissist or the abusers in our lives, so one, we can make sense of what's going on, and two, we can find a solution to it. And that's where anxiety does come from that, but that's where analysis comes in, and that's where we can get really trapped, because we're operating in the codependent fantasy at that point, that we think if we understand the problem, we can create a solution and thus create the person we want them to be, the person we think they really are, if they would just let go of their pain or get healed in some way. Guys, a wake-up call here for you. If you're in that category, that is a fantasy. These people choose to be the way they are. They do their things for their reasons, and yes, some of it will be from abuse, and yes, some of it will be from their history. But guess what? That isn't why we're here on this planet. That's not why we exist. We're not here to fix or rescue people from their past, their trauma, and their story. We're here to learn how to thrive and expand and be our own brilliance. At least that's my take on it. You might have a different reason for being here or not, or no reason at all. Whatever works for you, as long as it's light and expansive and it empowers you towards love. So, yes, today I just want you to think about that for a moment. If you're operating in codependent fantasy, it's time to start accepting that these people aren't going to change. Accept them as they are, and then start making effective decisions for you and your own happiness. If you're struggling with that, please do reach out and get you through. We can do a lot of things with that. Join the Heal Mentorship. You can join the Thrive All Access Pass or Thrive membership. Or you can ask questions. I can give you tips here. So today's Q&A, here we are. We got one question we got from Ellie. She said, what is the most polite way to stop supporting or trying to fix a loved one financially when there's no more to give? Well, let's first back that train up a bit. Supporting and fixing aren't the same thing. Supporting says, oh, you have a problem. How do you feel about your problem? What's going on for you there? Oh, yeah, this is really a difficult situation. I totally get where you're coming from. This sucks. What ideas come to mind? What kind of options do you see for yourself? What can you do right now about it, if possible? Oh, cool. Well, what feels good to you? What do you want to take on there with those options? Oh, okay, cool, neat. I've got your back. Thanks for sharing that with me. I love you. That kind of thing. That's support. Fixing is, oh, you have a problem. I know what you need, and I'm going to get in there and I'm going to solve it for you. Oh, you have a financial problem. You got a bill to pay. How much is it? Oh, here's the money. That's fixing. Emotionally, fixing would look like, oh, you have shame? Well, let me take that away from you. Let me just bombard you with things that you didn't ask for, right? That's the difference. Fixing doesn't ask. It doesn't respect the person's ability to solve their problem. It assumes that you know better than they do about what they need or want, and it takes control of the outcome and the dynamic rather than allowing the individual to inherit the consequence of their decisions. Consequences are teachers. They help us wake up to what we are choosing. And the wake up is this. It's like, oh, I want something different. What's that like? What do I want to change there for me? And then we can start tuning into it and making different decisions at that level so we can have different results that we want to have, have a life we enjoy. Hi, Glenn. How was your holiday? Remark in the comments if you like, and I'll respond to them. But so number one, supporting is helping somebody figure out their own solutions by asking them questions and allowing them to come up with the solution and do their job for themselves. Fixing is taking control of the dynamic and doing it for them, which doesn't teach anybody anything. Now, you make an interesting comment at the end here, Elliot. It says, when there's no more to give. Giving doesn't solve problems. So there's nothing. If you back that train up just a little more and you said, wow, you got a problem, what can you do to solve this? Then it would never involve you giving more than what you could or wanted to or even had the capability of. Okay? So giving doesn't solve problems. Questions solve problems. Different points of view, different actions solve problems. And problems are 100% the responsibility of the person whom the problem is attached to. Right? So in your instance, it's not your job to fix it anymore. It's because it's not your problem. So a polite way to stop this, codependency, we have to be the nice people, right? We got to be nice. We can't rock the boat. We got to walk on their eggshells so that they won't respond to us in a negative way or they won't get upset because we feel like we're owning their emotion. One thing I want you to do here, think about, Ellie, is giving back to them responsibility for their emotions, for what they're feeling, for what they're thinking, for what they choose to do, because none of that's yours. Now, I get it. Rocking the boat can cause a lot of anxiety and a lot of panic. And what we'd want to do there first is start to regulate your nervous system, get you into a little more power so that you feel secure in taking that on. And then what we do is we create a pragmatic way of delivering the message. And you're free of the outcome. If they want to blow up, they'll blow up on their own accord. You can't really control that. Codependency gives us this illusion of control through our ability to anticipate behaviors and then walk around the eggs a certain way that creates the illusion that we are controlling their feelings, when in reality, we're just avoiding the bombs and we're paying the cost for it. It's called emotional labor, and it's not ours to pay. If they're going to blow up, let them blow up. It's their lesson anyway. It isn't yours. Okay. So here's one way you can communicate this boundary to them, and another thing about boundaries, guys, boundaries are for us. It's not for them. If they don't respect the boundary, it's up to us to just move on with our lives. It's not up to us to make them, change their point of view or respect our boundaries, because that's controlling and fixing, not our job. So we want to get back to our territory, our yard, and this is how you do it. You put it out there plainly, directly, and kindly. Hey, I know you're having some struggles financially. I'm going to encourage you to figure out a solution long-term that takes care of this for you. I know that sucks. I know this isn't what you want to hear. I know it leaves you in the bind you're in, and that's going to have some consequences. Right now, that's what's appropriate right now for me. So you had a little empathy in there, a little kindness in there. It's direct. It's clear. I'm not going to pay the bill. I'm not going to fix this problem. But I'm going to encourage you to look at solutions that can fix it long-term for you. And I know it sucks. It really does. It's just a shitty situation. or whatever it might be. That's a simple way of doing it. Now, they probably aren't going to like that, and they may retort, respond to you or react to you in a certain way. You know your situation best. If you want guidance on how to deal with those elements, do post more info, and I can get you some tips on that. All right, so we've got Glenn. How do you move forward with someone who wounded you, won't own it, won't apologize, but still wants a relationship on some level? Oh, then that's kind of not a relationship. That sounds a lot like a dictatorship there, Glenn. Because if they're not willing to step up and own their behavior, you can't have a safe, equal relationship. You are going to have a relationship on their footing only, and I call that a dictatorship. So what I would do is approach them from a direct angle and say, hey, I want to have this relationship too. I want us to keep going, but I can't until this is addressed because this hurt me and this undermined my sense of connection, trust, empathy, whatever it might be in the relationship. And I can't move forward until then. That's reasonable, especially if something harmful has happened. Then that's kind of the consequence they inherit with their behavior, and they get to live with that. And that can be, that's hard. I've had to do that. I've done that with several people, and it's a shitty situation. My heart goes out to you there, because that's a rough one. That's how you can approach that. So you define and stand with your boundaries, and you're like, this is where it's at. I want to feel safe with you. I want to have this connection with you, but we've got to resolve this. This has to be discussed. I'm not brushing it under the rug. And so you can leave it at that and see what they do. All right. And let's see. All right. And a couple other things I wanted to, the one thing I really want to tackle on before we're done today, how to respond to, how people respond to us is about them. I'm going to mute this really quick. All right. Yep. And this is why. We all have our own psychology, right? We all have our programming in our brain. And that brain programming says, hey, when A happens, feel B. And that means two different people can be looking at the same situation, have two different responses. This is why other people's reactions to us are about them. Plus, it keeps us in our yard. If I'm trying to control how someone feels or thinks or perceives me, I'm off in their yard, kind of trying to manipulate things. I'm not having an honest relationship. I'm not being me. I don't get to find out if they're actually a good fit for me. I get to find out if I can please them. What does that do for us? Gets us what I call a table scrap of love, and then we're starving again, and then we're kind of drained and heavy, and we're like, why am I even here? This is frustrating. Why don't they like me the way I want them to? Where's the love? No, it doesn't function that way. You don't get love by earning it. And that's rule number 1 of anti-codependency. If we can go that route, no earning of love. Love is freely given and available. So people's response to us can help us understand where they fit in our lives, not about where we need to change their point of view or feelings about us. So that's one thing I've been seeing as a trend in the group, is this concern about other people's feelings for us. And this is a great starting point about boundaries. Someone else's feelings about us is in their yard. It is for them to manage. Now we can empathically approach them and say, my relationship with you, like for instance, Glenn's situation, my relationship with you matters. I care about you. I care about our connection. I care about what we have, but this has to change. Or I see you have a concern, or you feel a certain way about me, and I want to understand if I've done something to hurt you or harm you, so I can make a change in my behaviors so this is a safer relationship. That's a reasonable approach, but generally people are going to feel what they do when they do, for whatever reasons they do. And if we are willing to leave those things in their yard, then we win. We win by getting better clarity about how they fit in our lives, better clarity about who they choose to be, and we can understand our own separation emotionally from people. So we're not absorbing them, we're observing them. Okay. So thank you guys for showing up in the group. I hope you've had a great holiday. I will be back on Monday. I'm going to take a break for the weekend. Otherwise, we'll see you next week with our next experiment and dealing with things we've been in denial with. And if you need anything, just reach out. Okay? And remember, you're worth knowing, loving, and keeping. You guys have a great day. Enjoy that holiday, the Black Friday stuff. I'm about to go indoor that myself. Whee! Okay. Talk to you guys next week. Bye-bye.